It is June 8, 1940, somewhere in the North Sea. After having supported the Allied campaign in Norway, the aircraft carrier HMS Glorious was on her way home. The Norwegian campaign had reached its conclusion, with Allied forces evacuating after weeks of grueling combat. Tasked with an independent voyage to the UK, Glorious carried the weighty responsibility of transporting RAF fighters crucial for Britain's air defences, alongside her escorting destroyers, Acasta and Ardent. The sea stretched endlessly before them, calm and quiet, as the small British task force made its way southward. By the afternoon, she cruised leisurely at 17 knots, her crew calm and performing their routine duties, tracing a steady path southwest. The two escorting destroyers maintained positions roughly 500 meters to the carrier's port and starboard. The carrier, devoid of the usual bustle on deck and with no vigilant lookout stationed aloft, remained seemingly unaware of the imminent threat that loomed on the horizon. Finally, an observer aboard Glorious noticed two unfamiliar warships emerging on the western horizon. Acting swiftly, D'Oyly Hughes dispatched the Ardent to investigate, while maintaining their course and ordering aircraft to be readied for potential action, while her engineers toiled to bolster steam production for increased speed. The silhouettes of the two unidentified warships continued closing in. At 4:20 p.m., finally a call to action station was sounded. On deck, a frenzied flurry ensued as crews readied 6 Swordfish aircraft for a strike, though the process was impeded by the aircraft's lack of immediate readiness. Additionally, the carrier accommodated 10 Sea Gladiators of Fleet Air Arm Squadron 802, along with Air Force Hurricanes and Gladiators being evacuated from below deck. By then, the Germans had altered their trajectory, turning sharply southeastward to close the distance. The German vessels, sailing in echelon formation with Gneisenau trailing on Scharnhorst's port side, surged forward at 29 knots. Despite initiating radio transmissions at 4:20 p.m. on an outdated frequency, Glorious's distress signals were not effectively transmitted until 30 minutes later, rendering nearby vessels uncertain of the urgency of the situation. Neither destroyer in the vicinity signaled at all, adding to the confusion. Brief hopes of outrunning the enemy flickered, as within 10 minutes, the resounding thunder of the battlecruiser's guns shattered any illusions of escape. Gneisenau initiated, unleashing a barrage from her secondary batteries upon Ardent, swiftly followed by Scharnhorst's 5.9-inch guns. In response, all 3 British ships began obscuring their positions with smoke. With alarming accuracy, the German salvos found their mark. Scharnhorst unleashed her 11-inch guns toward Glorious from 25 kilometers, ceasing fire on Ardent 1 minute later due to interference from secondary batteries. Scharnhorst's subsequent salvos struck their target with devastating accuracy. A shell breached the hangar deck, igniting a catastrophic fire that engulfed the aircraft and superstructure. Despite initial efforts to maintain momentum, damage to Glorious's boiler system led to a decline in steam pressure, resulting in a gradual deceleration. In a desperate bid to retaliate, Acasta and Ardent engaged the German behemoths, but their efforts were hindered by the vast distance. Ardent, emerging from its smokescreen at 4:42 p.m., launched torpedoes towards Scharnhorst, prompting evasive maneuvers. Narrowly avoiding a direct hit, Scharnhorst brought heavy fire upon Ardent, inflicting severe damage. As the relentless barrage continued, the 2 battlecruisers closed in, relentlessly pounding Glorious until her fate was sealed. At 4:56 p.m., Gneisenau directly struck Glorious, killing Captain D'Oyly Hughes. As the fire raised along the deck, the vessel was engulfed in smoke, preventing the battlecruisers from taking proper aim. The battered Ardent fired torpedoes, as Scharnhorst targeted the destroyer with her secondary batteries. At 5:15, Glorious was once again within sight of the German battleships, enduring renewed bombardment from their main batteries. 5 minutes later, the fatal blow struck the heart of the aircraft carrier, as Gneisenau's shell found its mark in her center engine room. With her speed dwindling and a starboard list developing, the carrier entered a slow, agonizing spiral to port. Scharnhorst now focused against Ardent. A direct hit snapped her mast, sending her plummeting to the depths after a courageous but futile counterattack that managed only a single, insignificant hit on Scharnhorst. Meanwhile, HMS Acasta, still unscathed, recognizing Glorious's inevitable fate, bravely turned back toward the enemy in a desperate bid to disrupt their advance. Commander Glassford rallied his crew, emphasizing their duty to stand firm despite the grim circumstances. With Glorious sinking and Ardent lost, Acasta pivoted westward, maneuvering past Scharnhorst's starboard beam. Maneuvering amid the smoke screen, Acasta unleashed 2 successive torpedo salvos, catching Scharnhorst off guard. Although the German behemoth attempted to evade, the torpedoes found their mark, tearing a gaping hole in her starboard side and causing chaos and devastation aboard. Acasta remained a target for Scharnhorst's secondary batteries until 6:10 p.m. In a final act of defiance, Acasta managed to land a shell on Scharnhorst's Bruno turret, eliciting a renewed barrage from the German warship. Around this time, Glorious succumbed to the depths, followed by Acasta 10 minutes later. The toll of the battle was staggering. Scharnhorst bore the scars of the engagement, expending 69 salvos. Gneisenau was more reserved in her firepower. Because of the damage to the German ships, and the captain's assumption the British had radioed allies, they sailed away without picking up any survivors. The frigid waters of the North Sea claimed all but a handful of survivors. Only 45 men endured on open floats and rafts, while the vast majority of the 1,245 aboard Glorious met a watery grave. Acasta and Ardent suffered similarly devastating losses, with only a handful of survivors amidst the wreckage. Yet even then, concerted efforts to locate survivors were lacking. Some fortunate souls found refuge aboard Norwegian vessels, but the toll of this harrowing engagement was stark, approximately 1,519 lives lost. Thank you very much for watching this video. Please leave a like, it really helps out the channel. If there is a topic, battle, or person you would like to know more about, let me know your thoughts in a comment. I would also like to thank all my patrons and channel members for their generous support. If you enjoy House of History and you want to support my work, consider joining me on Patreon. For just $1 per month, you will already gain early access to all my videos without any in-video advertisements. Don't forget to subscribe. See you next time.